There we go. We are recording this video, so if we can't make it, people can watch later. And those will all be online at Hoosier Young Farmer Coalition's YouTube page, and there'll be a link from the Hoosier Young Farmer Coalition website later on. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to F.A.I.T.H Farms for their presentation this evening. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for having us. I'm Curtis Whittaker, the pastor of Progressive Community Church and CEO of F.A.I.T.H CDC. I'm sorry, it's been a very long day for us, but we're here and we're going to push through it. Out here now at F.A.I.T.H Farms and Orchard, which is a program of F.A.I.T CDC. And I got with me our farm administrator.
I am Freida Graves, farm administrator at F.A.I.T Farms and Orchard, and a member of the F.A.I.T CDC family. And been out here being farm administrator for 4.5 years.
Yep. So this is we're new to this. For those who've been doing this for a while, this is our 6th growing season. We again, I said we're a church or ministry that does this. So we got started as a call from God that there's going to be a famine, and we needed to know how to grow food and where our food was going to come from. And so that's what was the impetus for us getting started. For six years ago, I knew nothing about farming, growing food, or any of that. So when we started off as really small, we started with 3 raised beds, and we grew a lot of food, and members of the church said, hey, let's do it again. And from there, we tore that up and put some more down in our urban center. We had a house removed, and it allowed us to expand to 8 12 by 12 raised beds. And then the following year, we wanted to grow again, and we did that. And so I, still not knowing what I was doing, I went and started learning from Will Allen, who's known as the father of urban ag in America. And so a couple of us went up and learned how to grow food with Mr. Allen. And we went with the intent of growing, understanding how to grow it within a hoop house or a wind tunnel. And we only wanted 1. We ended up with 4. As Will said, we needed to scale up. And so because of that, we now have 3 20 by 48 wind tunnels, hoop houses, and 1 10 by 20. We grow into 3 larger ones, and it allows us to grow a lot of food. And so we're thankful for our partnerships that we've developed, because this, again, is really new to us, with our community foundation, the Legacy Foundation, with what then was Growing Power and Mr. Will Allen, and all of the support that they have provided to us over the years. Sister Freida mentioned this is 4.5 years for her. In growing. Again, same thing, not knowing anything about growing, but it's just taking the bull by the horn and really move this forward. So with F.A.I.T Farms and Orchard, we planted some trees, plum, pears, peaches, apples, probably 2 years ago.
Yes.
It's our second year with the trees. So it is our hope that those trees mature and we get fruit from them and do things from an orchard perspective. Last year we got forayed into an apiary. So we got about 5 beehives out where we're producing honey. We have you can share some of the chickens.
Yeah, we have chickens, goats, and ducks now on the farm. The chickens we had for 2 years. The goats have been here for 7 months, and the ducks have been here for almost a year. And with our goats, the mom goat had twins in January. So now we have 4 goats instead of 2. And now we're looking for people, and we're actually reaching out to partnerships to learn how to milk the goats.
Nice.
We have chicken eggs and duck eggs
Yeah.
that we have on the farm that we sell. I'm going to turn this around a little bit so you can kind of see the hoop house we're standing in. This is our first hoop house. I hope everybody can see it. This is our first hoop house, and we started last year with vertical growing. So those are tomato plants. We still got some pruning to do and suckers to remove and so on and so forth. And then you see there's squash, cucumbers. This is what the hoop house looks like on the inside. We have 4 of us that are out here consistently. My farm manager, Mr. Cummings, Chris, and myself, and we work all the farm. We're about an acre out here, but we put a lot into this acre of land. And I also took the Master Gardener class from Purdue, so I can learn a little more about growing. And I've had some education with the bees, but I'm still, I have an online thing that I'm doing that I haven't quite completed.
And the other thing that's unique for us is, so prior to us growing, and maybe we'll go outside and just show the scope. But prior to us growing,
Which way?
we
Right.
this way. Prior to us growing, we all of this was blight. So we're growing in the middle of blighted space and blighted areas, and so we're a little different in the fact that in our neighborhood there's nothing but a lot of blight. And so our goal was then, after we started growing, was sort of twofold. How do we eliminate the blight that's in our neighborhood? Is literally on our block where our church is next door is where we have our farm. There were 3 houses that were abandoned, and our goal was, how do we eliminate blight and remove abandonment at the same time growing food. At the same time, on the block our church is on, there's only 1 occupied house on the block, and so the rest of the block is blighted. If anybody's heard of US Steel, we're like 10 blocks, 20 blocks away from the steel mill, and so they emit um, pollutants that get into the ground. And so for us, we were concerned about that. We didn't have a lot of money to do soil testing and those kind of things at the time. And so our method of growing is with wood chips. We use that as our base, as our buffer from the ground. We put compost on top of the wood chips, and then that is how we grow. Just because we did not know in our urban context if there was lead in the paint, then the house that used to be here, if there is particles in the air from the steel making process that get into the ground and that have been there. And so we were very cognizant about that. We are an organic farm, which means we use organic practices. We're in a USDA transition program, but we use all organic practice. So that was something that was very important to us. How do we grow in the midst of a blighted space? How do we get the city and others on board with us? Maybe 3 years ago, as all of you know, a lot of water goes into this, and so our water bill at our church went up crazy. And so unfortunately for us in the city, wells are prohibited, but we've learned to ask for forgiveness and not permission. And so we have a couple of wells that we have here. We've had both since the well water tested and the soil tested. The soil was good. The well water is good for the plants, but not good for drinking. And so we tell people that, and we're trying to find ways that we can also have it good to drink as well as for the plants. And so we're always looking for ideas and things to make that happen. But again, our can we put something in that's going to be a lot more productive?
The connection is unstable.
And the other thing that I would say is that we have that we have um, looked at and other ways to help others grow. So that's a large part of what we do is we want to help others in our area that don't know how to grow to learn to grow. So that's something that's very important to us, something that we believe that we should be doing just in our own context, because we live in a food desert. And so what's also important to us is to be able to eliminate as much as possible the food desert that we are in. And then finally, you know, with COVID-19, we've had to change some of the practices that we've been doing. We continue to come out here daily because, as those who have animals know, they need attention every day. So we come out still daily to do the work that we do. But earlier on, we social distance, we wore masks, we wore gloves, all of those kinds of things. Today we had our CSA program, which is new for us, community supported agriculture. This is our first foray into the CSA. And so today we had people just park and we brought the box out to them. They didn't have to get out of their vehicle. So it's a little nuanced. We're still growing as best we can in this environment. And with that, I'll stop and, take any questions unless you have something else to add.
There was one question about the contaminants in the well water. Do we know what contaminant was present in the well water? I have the report at home. We had a college intern out here that was agricultural science. And we have the report at home. I'd have to look it up. I'm not really sure. We were looking into charcoal filters or something along that lines that can possibly make it feasible for us to drink, and then retesting. So I'd have to give you the contaminant at another point. We don't have that information with us today.
Yeah, so we can.
Yeah. Let me know, Freida, when you get a chance to do that. The only reason I ask is my background is in remediation, so I'm just be curious if that could be related or traced to nearby industry. And like you said, carbon filter would be the optimal choice. And if it could be linked to, a property that has that known contamination, they would be,
Absolutely. I will. I when I get it, I will actually, if I think I have your email.
Yeah, get a hold of me.
Yeah, I'll email it to you. Secondly, when Pastor Curtis was talking, one more thing that it's affected us in the COVID period. We usually have youth out here. I'm a nurse by trade before I became a farmer. So I don't want to take any chances of anybody getting sick or anything out here. So this would be our usual summer. We would have youth interns. They were out here. They would get a stipend from the whatever company they were working for, and they would come out here and they would learn about growing. They would learn about the nutritional value, the nutrients, the potassium, magnesium, and everything that goes into the plants. But I don't know we're going to do that anyway. So that's one of the ways COVID has affected us. And secondly, all the employees, Pastor Curtis and I don't have our mask on right now, but we usually wear masks out here because we don't want to greet anybody without a face covering or anything along that line, because we just want to be cautious of what's going on right now. So I'm just going to do a little walk around because somebody has gotten busy with him, and he will be right back. Beyond the vegetables, we grow herbs. We grow oregano, lemon thyme, parsley, lavender, things like that. I always teach on oregano because of the nursing background, about it being one of the best antibiotics, anti-inflammatories that you can use in your body, because we have such a high incidence in this area of hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, and all the disease, the major diseases, CHF, and a lot of asthma related to the pollutants from the bill, even though they have cleaned up some. We have a lot of asthmatics, especially asthmatic children in this area. So we try to teach on all that as well, but I don't know if you can see the herb aisle, but that's it down there. So I'm going to just walk around and show you the chickens and the ducks and the goats, and then I'm going to wait for Pastor Curtis to get back and see if there's any questions. We had these chicken coops. I hope everybody can see it because the sun is kind of in my eyes. I can't see what I'm looking at. We had them built. We have 52 chickens, 6 ducks, and 4 goats. And then, as previously mentioned, we have 2 guys that take care of them. I'm not so much the animal person, but I will feed them, give them water or whatever if the guys are not here, if they're on vacation or such. And we had all this built on this one little acre of land. We've had all this built, and we're just putting a lot into it. So are there any questions at this point? Okay, I'm going to keep walking.
Freida,
yes.
Freida, can you hear? This is Laura Engwell from Purdue. Sorry if I missed this. So you mentioned that some of your produce goes to a CSA, which is new for you this year. But where else does it go?
The rest of it we sell at farmers markets. We have farmers markets right here on the property. We're the only farm in Gary that's also EBT certified. So we work with the SNAP benefit program and senior vouchers and WIC vouchers. We're the only one that's in Gary that's certified for that. So we sell some of it, but truly, if I really think about it, for the last 4 years, we've probably given away 50% of our produce to senior buildings, to Brothers Keepers, to whoever comes and says they need food. So can we say a little more about the USDA organic transition? Sure. We got approved for the USDA organic transition a year and a half ago. We have another year and a half to complete the transition. So far, we've been doing little things like, we don't use we don't use any pesticides anyway, but little things like putting snakes around plastic snakes around our trees, or we do like cayenne pepper or neem oil on our plants if we have to get rid of a pest. We're still learning about that. That's quite a process. The book is this thick, so I'm learning. Every year I learn a little more and try and do something a little different. But right now we're just in the process. We have a ways to go with it. Because it's only 4 of us that are out here every day working. It's kind of hard to get a lot of it done, but I do what I can a little bit at a time. Things like taking for the pests like the cabbage moths. I've even cut out card paper pieces of to make it look like cabbage moths and stuck them in the ground, so I don't have to use any kind of organic anything on there. No, the CSA, the question was, do we decide to add the CSA because of COVID? We've been trying to do the CSA for 2 years now. But because we are doing so much with so little help, because most of our church is only 75 members of our church, and the majority of them, over 50-60%, are elderly. And then there's only a few kids, and they were off to college, but they should be able to help a little out this year. So the CSA was supposed to be initially started last year, but we didn't get a chance to put it in. And we're only doing once a month with the CSA, only because we need to test it out to see how well we can do it with the little help we have. And it went very well today with the curbside pickup and the pre-ordering of the boxes. And we did let the community know, and our partners, as well as Northwest Indiana Food Council, know that we're going to be doing that. And Purdue, Aaron from Purdue comes out and helps us a lot. That we're going to be doing the CSA, and we're going to try next year to make it every other week. But this year, it has to be once a month, because beyond doing the CSA, we're also doing, for the last 4 weeks, we've been giving away 700 boxes of free food to families and seniors and delivering them to their homes and things like that. It's not from here. It was the company that donated the boxes, and we gave the boxes away. So just once a month this year, but that wasn't because of the COVID. We wanted to do the CSA program for the last 2 years. Any more questions? Okay, I'm gonna turn this back over to Pastor Curtis. My cheeks are, even at this late date in the day, my cheeks are getting a little red. So either we'll go inside unless somebody wants to see more. Do you have plans to expand? We do. We actually had a small grant from, I'm gonna walk across to see if you guys can see it, from Legacy last year to do a pollinator park. To actually just to do phase one because it wasn't enough to do much with, but phase one of a pollinator park. We had plans from Purdue University Lafayette. Their landscape agriculture class did 17 plans for us. And then we had the children that we worked with last year picked up plans that they thought were the best. And we were going to do a pollinator park, apiary, and the education center. I'm going to turn this around so you can see what we are dealing with now, because we had this land all cut down before COVID, and we're going to start our first phase. If everybody can see, I mean, it might be kind of hard to see, but this is the land we were going to do it on right across from the farm. Bees, we have beehives over here. Let me be a little careful. This is the land we were going to do it on right across the farm, but it's regrown. So we're going to have it re-cleared to get started on the pollinator park. Then I'm going to walk down. I'm not going to get too close because the bees are very active over there. Don't know if you guys can see them, but those little colored boxes over there are beehives. We have 5 beehives, and they're very active today. So I do have a bee suit, but I don't have it on. We, in the fall winter season, we've tried for the last 3 years to try and grow inside. Mostly we got a little bit of kale and some collard green, but for the most part, we were kind of look at different ways where we can grow inside. Geothermal is one of the things we're looking at, and that's pretty pricey, pretty expensive, but we're trying to look for ways where we can grow. The hoop houses do stay about 20 degrees warmer than it stays outside, but when we get those days when it drops down into the 30s, 20s, whatever, some of the things that we try and grow inside just die off. But we've tried several times. Any more questions? And we might go back in.
Freida, this is Liz, and I asked the question about the fall and winter because I'm a livestock person, so I don't know anything about this. Mm-hmm. But I'm in the southeast part of the state, and a lot of the veggie growers around here don't have tunnels, and but we're seeing more winter markets, and there just aren't a lot of veggies yet. And so I've been wondering, like, well, what could we do for the veggie growers to make it easier for them to grow more of those fall things? Like, what's the hurdle?
There was we were offered several different ideas. Floating rows was one of them. We might work on that this winter since I don't think we were going to do geothermal. Of course, geothermal was, and then people were telling us the heaters, the wood burning heaters and the hoop houses and everything like that. But I can't honestly say we've tried those. We tried to grow, and we just kept with our thermometer and tried to bring the plastic down because we bring it up in the summer and down in the winter to keep it as warm as we can. But the only thing that did survive was the kale. That's the only thing that survived was our kale. But floating rows was a big one. I think we're going to give that a try this winter.
Nice. That sounds awesome.
I'm in the greenhouse where we have our collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, and we picked a lot of those today. So are there any more questions? Okay, I'm going to turn this back over to Pastor Curtis then. And I'm going to step out the way. Give me 1 second. Pastor Curtis, let me turn it back over to you. I'm going to step out of the way. I asked you answered a few of the questions.
Okay, what question? Any more questions?
They have, I'm not as of yet.
Okay. Other churches partnering with you? Right now, there aren't. We've reached out to other churches to partner with us. A lot of the churches, some of them are doing their own, not at our scale, but we assist. So it may not be a partnership, but we assist others who want. So we have wood chips, we have compost, we have seed, we have wood, And so our thing is we've been blessed, and so we try to do our best to bless others. So if they need anything, we try to be responsive to those needs. Colleen says her audio is not connecting. Got it. Some of the great question about compost. We do, but we do composting here, but our operation now is so big that we can't produce enough. We had thought about it, but then the sort of the smell from some of the stuff would be probably offensive to our neighbors, and we didn't want to do that. So we actually partner. The city does composting, and we partner with them. We partner with the city, and they bring some of their compost to us. As it relates to the pollinator garden, so we partner with Purdue West Lafayette. They had a landscape architect class that came here about 2 years ago. We have five lots, parcels that we've identified to turn into an environmental learning center, pollinator garden. So that's where the bees are currently, and we're just going to expand that space to create what I'm calling a pocket park, with like a pop-up park, but also an environmental learning center, so that we can bring back. Shared that we're in a blighted space, and we want to bring back aesthetic beauty to our community, but also environmental balance. And we believe that that is one of the ways to do it. I did. So how many CSA members do we have this year? So this is our first foray into it, and we're learning. Today was our first day. It was a farm opening day. We had 20 folks signed up. How many people you said showed up, CSA? Yeah, so 40 boxes ordered, and we had about 65 boxes that went out today. So that was pretty.
So this is Jessica, there's a question in
So
the
we're,
chat from farther up that says, are you documenting your process and growth as you go through these stages?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
So we're really strong at doing. I'd say one of our weak spots is documenting all of the. A lot of work. And then I was going to say we accept forms of payment. So there are senior vouchers. So we're the only farm currently in Gary that accept Northwest Indiana Community Action senior vouchers. We accept EBT cards and WIC vouchers here at the farm. Let me go to that room. All right, documenting the process, building. I am just because, like I said earlier, I asked for forgiveness and not permission. I sometimes think that sometimes governmental intervention can be some hindrances. Haven't really given it a lot of thought. So we can give that some more thought about how to cultivate. State and local governments can do that. Cultivate sustainable and equitable agriculture. Just I would say being open is one of the first things, especially in an urban context. Just because we have 50 chickens, and so just being open and available to um, what others are trying to do and the why behind it. So our why is we're in the middle of a food desert. We're in a food insecure community and neighborhood. We're in a neighborhood with a lot of blight. And so our why is different. And that's what I would say. It would just really depend on the why and to have it available for us. This is a pilot project, so I think it would be, you know, to do some pilot projects in communities like ours, see what those look like, listen to what neighbors saying. So we're in a good space. We're right across the street from an abandoned high school. We're on a block that's totally abandoned except for one house. And the block behind us is abandoned. The block down the street from us has a lot of abandonment. So we're in a really good space. So yeah, so for us, it would be different if we were in the middle of a real urban neighborhood that had a lot more people. And it would be interesting to see what people would say. We probably couldn't do animals, but we probably could do some of the growing that we do. Maybe not on the scale that we're doing it on. But from that perspective, I think each place probably would be unique. But I would start with pilots and then the support that's needed from there. It says, Yike, I didn't get your full answer about documentation because connection went out. I'm assuming you said you're more in the doing stage and less in the documenting. That is right, but not just doing stage. We're just doers. It just seems like everybody that who has come along and helped us in the farm have the same spirit of doing. And one of our so our strength is doing, our weakness is documenting. You know, sign up for 1 month at a time or the whole season. Are you doing the sign up? Great question on CSA. Our program is month to month. So just because we got started, we didn't know what participation would look like, those kind of things. So we just said we'll do one in each of the next 3 months now, June, July, August, September. And a lot of it has been social media, word of mouth. We're now understanding. We got someone working on a website so folks can make orders that way. So we're getting into all of the ways that people can sign up. It is new, literally, for our community, and so this hasn't happened as far as I know. And if it did, it was 40 years or 50 years ago. But it hasn't happened in the recent memory with CSA and food boxes. So we were just not understanding what people would, if they would support it. One of the things is we've been here 6 years and people still don't know we exist. And so we're still trying to get the word out that we're here, we exist, and we produce a lot of food in these hoop houses, about 12 to 15,000 pounds of food a year. And our goal is to increase that with the same space that we have. And so I think as we get our word out more about who we are and what we do, that will then increase. And then today we got some good publicity. One of the local newspapers came out, and they're going to also continue to run stories about what we're doing. And so any of those kind of things help us get the word out about the farm, but also about the CSA. What are some of the most in-demand crops, and do you have to do a lot of education with the produce to increase consumption? Our largest crop are greens, collard greens, turnip greens, mustard greens are the largest. That's our most in-demand crop. We don't have to do a lot of education with those. We do try to put some things in that we don't think people consume a lot of.
Kohlrabi.
Like kohlrabi,
Bok choy.
bok choy. We put some things in the ground like that to just acorn squash so that and so on those things we do have to educate. And then on increasing production, we're using a vertical growing method of growing. And so it's going to help us to produce even more in the same space through vertical growing. Okay. What are you growing in the orchard? Apples, pears, plums, peaches. We got some apples, pears, peaches, plums.
Cranberry, goji berry, strawberry.
Cranberry, goji berry, strawberries, grapes. Got some grapes out there.
Yeah.
Where do you see your farm in 5 years? That's a great question. So this is a demonstration project. So every year we look to add something new that we did not have on the farm the year before. I.e. this, late last year, early this year, the goats. Late last year, early last year, the bees. And so we see the farm as a place where people can come and learn how to grow everything that they would see, that they would need to see. We hope to have here on the farm so that it's a one-stop shop, one-stop place for them to, not on a whole scale level, but on a short term level, understand what's here, what we're growing. We see in 5 years we'll have more growers, more people who come out here and learn to grow with us. We see expansion. So we're across the street from an abandoned school. We want to take that school and the growers that we help to learn to grow. We want all of us to go and then grow on that land. It's about 20 acres or more, and then be able to open what's sorely missing in our community is a produce store that sells fresh and local food. Yep. So that's us here at Faith Farms and Orchard. If you have any additional questions, we love to answer them. You can send us an email. You want to put your email up? Everybody probably has those. And we love to connect with everyone, with what everyone's doing. So this is an awesome way to exchange ideas and to learn from one another. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing, for listening to us, but also for sharing what you guys do.
We want to thank you for taking the time this evening. I know you had a very busy day with the launch of your CSA and all the boxes going out and things like that. So we really appreciate you taking some time on this beautiful evening to share your story with us and with the wider HYFC community. Once we put this online for folks who weren't able to join us tonight, can watch it. So we really appreciate your time and your energy and all the good work you're doing in your neighborhoods. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And Nathan, I'll send that report to you.
Sounds great. Yeah, amazing work, you guys. This is really, really cool to see it through this format. So hope to see you guys soon in person.
All right. Wonderful.
Visited Faith Farms. What an inspiration. Oh, thank you. What an inspiration. Thank you. We get inspired every time we come out here and pray over the plants and work. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys, this was fantastic. It was so cool to see your operation and hear what you're up to. It's incredible.
Nightfall. I love that name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep it up, you guys.
Will do.
Will do. Thank you.